The Chosen Child, Samson's Rise. Hello, dear friend. Welcome to this quiet place of rest and reflection. As you settle into this moment, allow your body to sink deeper into comfort. Let your shoulders drop, release the tension in your jaw, and take a slow, deep breath in and out. Tonight, we journey together into an ancient story, a story of promise, of divine calling, and of extraordinary strength. This is the story of Samson, a man whose life began not with his own choice, but with heaven's purpose whispered to his mother in the stillness of waiting. As we walk through this narrative, there is no need to strain or focus too intently. Simply let the words wash over you like gentle waves upon a shore. If your mind wanders, that's perfectly fine. If sleep finds you before the story ends, you are exactly where you need to be. Let us begin in the hill country of Dan, in a time when Israel cried out for deliverance, in a home where hope had grown weary. Breathe deeply and rest. The barren land, the barren womb. In the days when judges ruled over Israel, the land knew no peace. Generation after generation, the people would turn away from the Lord, and generation after generation, they would find themselves oppressed by those around them. It was a rhythm as old as their rebellion, turning away, suffering, crying out, deliverance, peace, and then the cycle beginning again. For 40 years, the Philistines ruled over Israel. 40 long years of subjugation, of tribute, of watching foreign lords walk through Israelite streets as if they owned them. The Philistines were mighty, organized, equipped with iron weapons and chariots, their 5 great cities standing like fortresses across the coastal plain. And Israel had grown weary under their hand. In the hill country of Dan, there lived a man named Manoah. His name meant rest, yet rest seemed far from his household. He was a faithful man, a quiet man, one who tended his fields and honored the Lord. But there was a sorrow that hung over his home like morning mist that refuses to lift. His wife was barren. In that time and place, childlessness was more than a private grief. It was a question mark hanging over a woman's worth, a silence at family gatherings, an emptiness that echoed through every passing year. Manoah's wife, whose name Scripture keeps as a mystery, bore this weight with quiet dignity. She prayed, she waited, she hoped, and year after year, her arms remained empty. The hill country where they lived rolled in gentle waves of stone and olive groves. It was beautiful in its way, the kind of beauty that speaks of endurance rather than abundance. Here, the Danites had settled, though not in the land originally allotted to them. They had been pressed back by the Amorites and Philistines, confined to the hills, while the fertile valleys below belonged to others. It was a place of in-between, between mountains and plains, between promise and fulfillment, between what was and what could be. And it was here that the story of Samson began, not with a birth, but with an encounter. The angel's visit. One ordinary day, as Manoah's wife went about her tasks, something extraordinary happened. The angel of the Lord appeared to her. Picture this moment. She might have been drawing water, or working among the vines, or sitting in the shade of a fig tree, taking a moment's rest from her labors. The day was like countless days before it, until it wasn't. The Scripture tells us the angel appeared, but doesn't describe thunder or lightning, earthquake or flame. Perhaps it was quieter than that. Perhaps there was simply a presence, and she knew. In that way, the soul knows that she stood on holy ground. The angel's message came gently, but it shattered her understanding of what was possible. You are barren and childless, but you are going to become pregnant and give birth to a son. Imagine hearing those words after years, perhaps decades of barrenness. The angel didn't pretend her pain didn't exist. He acknowledged it directly. You are barren. But then came the impossible promise. You will conceive. But there was more. This would not be an ordinary child. You must not drink wine or other fermented drink, and you must not eat anything unclean, the angel instructed. You will become pregnant and have a son whose head is never to be touched by a razor, because the boy is to be a Nazirite, dedicated to God from the womb. He will take the lead in delivering Israel from the hands of the Philistines. A Nazirite. This was a sacred vow described in the book of Numbers, a vow of separation unto the Lord. Typically, someone would take this vow for a period of time, abstaining from wine, from contact with the dead, and leaving their hair uncut as a sign of their dedication. But this child would be a Nazirite from birth. From the womb itself, he would be set apart. And more, he would begin to deliver Israel from the Philistines. Not complete deliverance, not total victory, but a beginning, a first movement toward freedom. Manoah's wife hurried home, her heart pounding with wonder and questions and hope almost too fragile to hold. She found her husband and told him everything. A man of God came to me. His appearance was like that of an angel of God. Very awesome. I didn't ask him where he came from, and he didn't tell me his name. But he said to me, "You will become pregnant and have a son." She repeated the instructions about wine and unclean food, about the razor never touching his head. The boy will be a Nazirite of God from the womb until the day of his death, she explained. Manoah listened and believed and yet wanted more. He wanted understanding, instruction. He wanted to know how to raise this promised child properly. So Manoah prayed. It was a simple prayer, the prayer of a man who knew his own insufficiency. Pardon your servant, Lord. I beg you to let the man of God you sent to us come again to teach us how to bring up the boy who is to be born. The second visit. God heard Manoah's prayer. The angel of God came again, but once more he came to the woman, not to Manoah. She was out in the field when he appeared, and Manoah was not with her. Why did the angel come to her twice, and Manoah not at all? Scripture doesn't say, but we might wonder. Perhaps because she was the one who would carry this child, whose body would become the first home for this deliverer. Perhaps because she was the one who truly understood what it meant to wait for the impossible. Perhaps because God delights in elevating the overlooked and speaking to those whom society might deem less important. She ran quickly to get her husband. He's here, the man who appeared to me the other day. Manoah came, and his first question revealed his heart. Are you the man who talked to my wife? I am, the angel replied. When your words are fulfilled, Manoah asked, What is to be the rule that governs the boy's life and work? The angel repeated the instructions. Nothing about wine or fermented drink, nothing unclean. The commands must be kept. But he didn't add much to what had already been said. The instructions were simple. The calling was clear. Manoah, in his hospitality, and perhaps in his desire to extend the moment, asked the angel to stay while he prepared a young goat. But the angel declined to eat. "Even though you detain me, I will not eat any of your food. But if you prepare a burnt offering, offer it to the Lord." Manoah didn't yet realize he was speaking with an angel. So he asked what many of us would ask. "What is your name, so that we may honor you when your word comes true?" The angel's reply was mysterious, majestic. "Why do you ask my name? It is beyond understanding." Beyond understanding. Wonderful, too marvelous for human comprehension. Manoah took the young goat and a grain offering and sacrificed it on a rock to the Lord. And as the flame blazed up from the altar toward heaven, the angel of the Lord ascended in the flame. Manoah and his wife watched in awe. When they realized what they had seen, they fell with their faces to the ground. The angel didn't appear to them again. Now Manoah was terrified. "We are doomed to die," he said to his wife. "We've seen God." But his wife, who had already encountered this holy messenger twice, spoke with wisdom born of reflection. "If the Lord had meant to kill us, he would not have accepted a burnt offering and grain offering from our hands, nor shown us all these things or now told us this." She understood something profound. God's purpose was not death, but life. Not judgment, but promise. The very fact that they had been given this message meant that God intended to fulfill it. The birth and childhood. Time passed as it must, and the woman gave birth to a boy and named him Samson, Shimshon in Hebrew, meaning sunny, or perhaps little sun, a bright name, a name of hope and warmth, given to the child who would be a light for his people. From the moment he was born, there was something radiant about him, a sense of destiny hovering like a whisper. Even as a boy, his strength surprised those around him, but his eyes carried both light and longing. It was as if his soul felt the weight of a calling too great for his young heart to understand. The boy grew, and the Lord blessed him. What must his childhood have been like? He would have looked different from other children, his hair growing long, uncut, a visible sign of his dedication to God. Perhaps other children asked questions. Perhaps they teased, or perhaps they stood in awe. His parents would have been careful. No wine, nothing unclean, the regulations kept faithfully. They knew their son was special, set apart, chosen for a purpose larger than any ordinary life. And then something began to stir. When Samson was in Mahane Dan, the camp of Dan, a place between Zorah and Eshtaol, the Spirit of the Lord began to move him. What does it mean that the Spirit began to stir him? The Hebrew word suggests a troubled stirring, an agitation, like water beginning to move before it breaks into waves. It was the beginning of something. The child dedicated from the womb was growing into his calling. Power was awakening within him, though he didn't yet understand it fully. The Philistines still ruled. Israel still suffered. But a deliverer was growing strong in the hill country. His hair was long, his body powerful, and somewhere deep within, the Spirit of God was beginning to move. The journey to Timnah. When Samson became a young man, he went down to Timnah, a town in the valley, a place where Philistines lived. There he saw a young woman, beautiful, confident, a daughter of those who ruled over his people, and his heart was captured. He returned home and said to his parents, "I have seen a Philistine woman in Timnah. Now get her for me as my wife." His parents were troubled. "Isn't there an acceptable woman among your relatives or among all our people?" they asked. "Must you go to the uncircumcised Philistines to get a wife?" It was a reasonable question, even a painful one. The Philistines were the oppressors. They worshiped different gods. Marriage to a Philistine woman would create ties with the very people from whom Israel needed deliverance. But Samson insisted, "Get her for me. She's the right one for me." Here the scripture adds a remarkable note. His parents did not know that this was from the Lord, who was seeking an occasion to confront the Philistines, for at that time they were ruling over Israel. God was working, even through choices that seemed unwise, even through desires that appeared merely human. The Lord was seeking an occasion against the Philistines, and Samson's attraction to this woman would become the spark that lit a larger flame. So Samson went down to Timnah with his father and mother. As they approached the vineyards of Timnah, suddenly a young lion came roaring toward him. A lion, powerful, terrifying, deadly. In that moment, Samson might have run or called for help or frozen in fear. But the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him. With nothing in his hands, with only the supernatural strength that God provided, Samson tore the lion apart as one might tear a young goat. Think about that for a moment. The raw, overwhelming power, the absolute confidence that comes when God's Spirit fills you. The Lion, King of Beasts, was no match for this Nazirite in whom the Spirit moved. But Samson told neither his father nor his mother what he had done. He kept this first demonstration of his extraordinary strength to himself. Perhaps he was processing it himself, trying to understand what it meant that he could do such things. Perhaps he knew his parents would worry, or perhaps he simply felt no need to boast. He continued down to Timnah, talked with the woman, and she continued to please him. The riddle. Sometime later, when he went back to marry her, he turned aside to look at the lion's carcass. And there, in the lion's body, was a swarm of bees and some honey. Life from death, sweetness from the carcass of the fierce. It was an image that would stay with him. He scooped out the honey with his hands and ate as he went along. When he rejoined his parents, he gave them some honey, and they ate it too. But he didn't tell them he had taken it from the lion's carcass, which would have been unclean, forbidden for a Nazirite. Already, we see the complexity of Samson, dedicated to God, empowered by the Spirit, yet beginning to walk close to the boundaries of his vow, perhaps beginning to test its limits. His father went down to see the woman, and Samson made a feast there, as was customary for young men. When the Philistines saw him, they chose 30 men to be his companions at the feast. And Samson, filled with the confidence of his strength and the cleverness of his mind, said to them, "Let me tell you a riddle. If you can give me the answer within the 7 days of the feast, I will give you 30 linen garments and 30 sets of clothes. If you can't tell me the answer, you must give me 30 linen garments and 30 sets of clothes." The stakes were high, but they agreed. "Tell us your riddle, let's hear it." Samson's riddle drew from his secret experience. Out of the eater came forth meat, and out of the strong came forth sweetness. For 3 days they could not give the answer. The riddle was impossible unless you knew the story behind it. And only Samson knew that story. On the 4th day, the 30 companions went to Samson's bride and made a threat. "Entice your husband to tell us the answer, or we will burn your father's house with fire." Fear is a powerful motivator. The woman went to Samson weeping, pressing him. "You Satan, you don't really love me. You've given my people a riddle, but you haven't told me the answer. I haven't even explained it to my father or mother," Samson replied. "So why should I explain it to you?" But she wept the whole 7 days of the feast, pressing him constantly. Finally, on the 7th day, worn down by her tears and accusations, he told her the answer, and she immediately told it to her people. Before sunset on the 7th day, the men of the town said to Samson, "What is sweeter than honey? What is stronger than a lion?" Samson knew immediately what had happened: betrayal, sharp and bitter. His bride had been coerced, threatened, and she had chosen her people's safety over loyalty to him. He said to them, "If you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have solved my riddle." Then the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him again. He went down to Ashkelon, a Philistine city, struck down 30 of their men, stripped them of everything, and gave their clothes to those who had explained the riddle. It was violent. It was excessive by our standards. But in that ancient context, it was the beginning of what God had promised, the first movements of deliverance from the Philistines. In his absence, his bride was given to another man. When Samson returned, he brought a young goat as a gift, a sign of peace, a hope of reunion. But her father stopped him at the door. "I thought you hated her," he said, "so I gave her to your companion. Her younger sister is fairer than she. Take her instead." The words struck like a hammer. Once more betrayal, once more fire in his heart, and Samson said, "This time I shall be blameless toward the Philistines when I do them harm." He went out, caught 300 foxes, tied them tail to tail, and set torches between them. Then he released them into the standing grain of the Philistines. Flames swept across the fields, a sea of fire devouring the harvest of those who had wronged him. The Philistines, enraged, retaliated with violence. But Samson withdrew into the cleft of a rock, alone once more, a man chosen by God, yet misunderstood by all. The promising beginning had ended in betrayal and violence. The man set apart from birth had begun his strange and powerful work. The lion had been torn apart. The riddle had been solved through treachery. Blood had been shed, and Israel's deliverance from the Philistines had begun, not with an army or a strategy, but with the personal grievances and supernatural strength of one Nazirite man whose hair had never been cut. And so the story of Samson began, not with victory, but with contradiction. A man of divine strength, yet torn by human weakness. A warrior called to deliver Israel, yet still bound by his own desires. But through it all, God's purpose moved quietly, like a river carving its way through stone. Because even in confusion, even in failure, the hand of God does not withdraw. He waits patiently until the moment the heart turns again toward him. And so we pause in Samson's story at the end of the beginning. A child promised, a birth celebrated, a calling given from before birth, and now a young man stepping into his destiny in ways both powerful and troubling. As you rest here in this quiet moment, consider the mystery of how God works. The angel came to a barren woman in an occupied land and promised an impossible child. That child grew strong, blessed by God, moved by the Spirit. And yet his story is complex, filled with choices that perplex us, with strength used in ways that seem personal rather than purposeful. God's purposes move forward even through our imperfect steps, even through choices that seem unwise, even through the complicated reality of human desire and divine calling existing in the same person. Manoah's wife understood something profound when she said, "If the Lord had meant to kill us, he would not have shown us all these things." She saw the pattern of God's grace even in the midst of uncertainty. Tonight, as you drift towards sleep, you might hold this thought. God can work with your complexity, your contradictions, your questions. The calling on your life doesn't require you to be perfect before it can unfold. Sometimes deliverance begins in unexpected ways, like honey in a lion's carcass, sweetness from the place of death, life from the impossible place. Rest now in the knowledge that you too are seen. Your waiting, like the waiting of a barren woman in the hills, is known to heaven. Your calling, whatever form it takes, is real and precious, even when the path forward seems unclear. Let your breathing slow, let your body settle more deeply into rest. The story of Samson will continue, with all its triumphs and failures, its power and weakness. But tonight, the story can wait. You are held. You are known by the one whose name is too wonderful for understanding. Rest well, dear friend. Let sleep come gently in its own time. And may you wake to a new morning, blessed and at peace. Good night.